Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the heDONizm podcast. I'm Dante, also known as Mecca Don, the Don Mecca. Some may even call me Rick James. Why? Because I'm cold-blooded. Also, during this time of the year, even though for some it's coming to an end, but for others, they're just starting their journey. You may know me as Coach, and to some, you may know me as Ref. But if you know, you do know. You guys know what it is. We're in the age of cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion, and I'll be careful with my words. But just in case I drop a noun, an adjective, a pronoun, or maybe even an expletive or something that may make you feel out of pocket or out of character, please understand I'm just here to pod. And in true heDONism fashion, guys, I always like to start out with gratitude, and that's no exception for today. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm always and ever grateful for you that tune in. I'm also grateful for those that are continuing the good fight. Who am I talking about? Those that are on the picket line, those that are on strike, those that are striking right now towards the AFTRA, the SAG-AFTRA, trying to get better bennies, the fight and hustle for AI. As we can see, or as we've seen, Tom Hanks even had AI create a dental ad for him based on his NIL, his name, his image, and his likeness. But this is why you have those on the front line right now, even today, looking for their right to their name, image, and likeness when it comes to those in Hollywood. And when we say Hollywood, we pretty much mean writers, motion picture, and all of those that are included in the conglomerate of what we call entertainment. But they're still standing strong, and we're nearly at a half-year mark, or maybe even longer, of this strike. So we've had the continuation of the comeback of the nighttime TV and the writing, and even some talk shows to include daytime news channels like your Today Show, and also those that have script writers behind some of the content that you see on your morning shows. But let me say this. When it comes to our 2023, and I'll say it, even some of our 2024 shows, and yes, even movies. You guys know I've had a campaign over the last few pods and whatnot saying save the cinemas, where I'm not going to be able to say that in 2024 if we're just doing repeats of movies. If you look at your cinemas today, they're starting to do reintroductions or revisits of old movies going back to the cinemas just to get butts in seats. Why are they doing that? A, just to keep folks occupied and interested in going out to the physical theater. But in addition to that, I got to be honest with you, the backlog is low. So as always, I'm grateful for the platforms of streaming, right? But I will say even some of those, the backlogs get kind of wonky when it comes to great content, great programming, and also great entertainment when it comes to streaming. I mean, it's not like the old DVD days where you could go to the bonus features and maybe even get music videos included in some of your DVDs. Now it's just WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, and it is what it is. But I'm grateful for some of the platforms. Let me just say that we got something, right? Because if you start to scroll down cable television, right? Shout out to those using the whatchamajig, the Fire Stick, right? I'm not a hater. But when you go to your cable provider and you scroll down the menu, you just see repeats. God forbid we have a light Saturday or a light Sunday. You get Star Wars episode 1 through 1000 all day in repeat. Or you'll get a Marvel's marathon. Or even some are even doing throwback shows just to get you engaged. Well, let me just throw you guys a couple of must-sees if you haven't already, or just a few of my recommendations. So for you that like sports, right, you have kids, this may be one to increase family dialogue for those that have children, or maybe even young youth that play football, right? Friday Night Tykes is one that was based out of the Houston area. It then went to Dade County. But it was good television. It was good reality TV show of your everyday lives of those that compete in the sports or in the realm of youth sports, right? for you older individuals who have a more of an open mind to see what is behind the scenes and the making of an organization, I highly recommend BS High. I've told you guys about BS High. I've sent it out there. I've gotten some people to say, hey, that was a good one. Shoot me another one. Okay. If you like seeing train wrecks, okay, not physical ones. We want everyone safe. But I'm talking about in the world of documentaries, right? I also recommend Fire Festival, right? This is the one with Ja Rule and the other little dodo who was creating the festival that did or did not happen. I won't do a spoiler. If you haven't seen it, it's streaming on Netflix, so please go check it out. But I have two, right? These are old shows, but I don't think they got enough pub for to get enough buzz, to have enough buzzworthy or for people to be talking about on social platforms about these shows. If so, maybe I was the one under the rock. But let me just throw this one at you. It's called Reasonable Doubt. It's streaming on Hulu as we speak. It was produced by Kerry Washington. It dropped in 2022. It's an episodic joint, right? We got one season, but I think right now, because of the strike, they shut things down. We don't have a season 2 yet, but let me just tell you, season 1, it's sexy. The actors are incredible. It's led by Myatsi. I'm just going to say Myatsi, right? I don't want to mess her name up her name, but she goes by M. M carries this show. She's a dope defense attorney, and it's based on a real attorney from the OJ Dream Team defense attorney firm. Right. So she's from there, and the show is very, very sexy. And I will say the characters are in it. The music is outstanding. I mean, soon as the show starts, hip hop comes at its rare form, but yet dope. The way they injected the hip hop soundtrack over the dope writing was just incredible. So Reasonable Doubt is one that I want to recommend for you guys. But there's also another, right? Like, I'm a big suspense guy. I'm a big thriller. I'm a big horror guy. I love the thought-provoking, and I love to be taken on a journey when it comes to mind-provoking thrillers or suspenses, if you will. But there's one on Amazon Prime, right? Called Them. Yes, THEM, Them, right? This is an Amazon Prime original that dropped back in 2021, and it's a drama horror thriller, okay? But it's an anthology series that explores terror in America, and you will guess it probably in the first 30 minutes of what the terror is in America. But this is based, and this may be the dead giveaway right here, but it's based on a black family that moves to an all-white LA neighborhood in the 1950s. But this is the same creator of Lovecraft Country. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of Lovecraft Country, but what I can say, it did get some reviews. It did get some great reviews from Rotten Tomatoes, and even from the public, court of public opinion. You guys know when we talk about that thing, right? So it did get some good reviews about Lovecraft Country. I wasn't a huge fan, but I do know that it had a dope production staff. It had great cinematography when it came to the actual scope of the show, but I just couldn't get into it. And I think I was multitasking at the time and just couldn't get into Little Marvin's creativity for Lovecraft Country. But they're the same. Little Marvin was the same creator of Them. And let me just tell you, it is thought-provoking. So again, if you're doing watch with friends, I would say that Reasonable Doubt is a Wednesday wind down. You want something nice in your hand if you're going to watch this one, or you want to be in a good relaxation type vibe, and you want to be in a good vibration setting when you watch Reasonable Doubt. Them is going to catch you. Now, these will probably get you through up to Thanksgiving, or if you binge watch like some of us do, you may be able to finish these in record time. But these are just a few that I wanted to drop on you guys, just because we're already in bad TV, right? You can see it, and I'm just giving you a heads up because some of our shows that we want to see won't be, or you'll start to get reruns on those and they're like, hey, they left me with a cliffhanger. What happened to the fall season, or what happened to my winter follow-up from the summer show that I was watching, yada yada. I think you guys catch my drift, but the backlog is running low. Shout out to those that are on the that are still striking right now for SAG-AFTRA, and we wish you guys all the best. We keep coming to conclusions of they're reaching a deal, they're reaching a deal, they're reaching a deal, and then yet they go back to the table with unresolved issues. Again, they're looking for better bennies, right? They're looking for control of AI to have the rights to their likenesses when it comes to that. But in addition to that, this is affecting more of those we see in behind the camera. I'm sorry, in front of the camera. It also affects those behind the camera, and an expansion towards that we don't see, that affect how we see movies that are created today. Let me keep the gratitude going, right? Let me just shout out and salute to all the teachers out there. Let me just say, I'm knee deep into mentorship, and I've had to get involved into going to some of the schools, but also talking to some of the parents, and more importantly, some of the young adults, or some of the children, I should say, that are in school. But outside of that, there's not enough equity for the teachers. There's not enough currency for the teachers. And again, my mentorship is primarily volunteerism. But when I see the work that the teachers are putting in, they just do not get enough credit. And I know several of them, right? And let me just give you an example of what I mean by the teachers. We're grateful for you, first of all, because the pandemic showed us that when schools were shut down, right? Because of the CDC and all of the advice we were getting from the Faucis of the world and whatnot. Folks were confined at home with their children versus them going to work, children going to school, daycare, sitter, whatever the case may be. It practically became a homeschool situation under the direction of a Zoom or a MS Teams or some sort of digital face-to-face for the children to interact. And just looking over the shoulder of some of the students that I was mentoring, some of the kids were online with hoods on their heads. Some of them were on their desk sleep. Some of them wasn't getting on camera at all, which was given a persona of, I'm not interested. And guess what? If the kids weren't interested, they just clocked out. They may have been logged on, but they may have been playing their consoles. They may have been on their cell phones. They may have been distracted. And more importantly, but sad and true, is some were sitting at home with nothing to eat. Shout out to the school systems that had public buses. The public school systems are what I'm shouting out at this particular point, that had school buses to bring food in certain communities for children who typically ride the bus. Whether you wanted it or not, they put it out that we will be we'll have a bus to come in the neighborhood of the same stops that the kids were on. If you want, please come out to the stops at these times and we'll provide food for these individuals. But some individuals were sitting at home with nothing to eat because their parents lost their jobs because of the pandemic. But let me get back to the teachers, right? And I want to give a scenario, and I'm going to encrypt this scenario as best as I can because I don't want to say any names. You guys know what it is. We want all the smoke, but I don't want no sauce, right? So I don't want no sauce when it comes to this situation. So read it as you will. But for my small audience, right, which I love, but let me say to my small audience, I want to talk about a particular individual who was faced in school as a teacher, right, female, that was faced with an altercation in her classroom, right? I don't want to get specifics. I don't want to give details. Let's just say that the teachers are put in situations where they have to literally become the referee, the bouncer, or pretty much on the spot law and enforcement to an altercation. And yes, I'm talking about a fist fight. Thank God no guns were involved, but let's just talk hand-to-hand combat between students. And you know, nowadays the bullies are going crazy, but the underdogs are speaking up, they're standing up, and they're taking a stand for their own. I'm just painting scenarios here. Rock with me. So the fight was broken up. Both individuals, as per usual, go to the principal's office, state their case. Nonetheless, you guys know what it is. There's repercussions to fighting in school. The child goes home. The mother's asking what happened, or let me just say the parent or guardian is asking what happened. The child goes home and say, the teacher let me get beat up. That was the narrative that the child painted for the parent. The teacher let me get beat up. So what does the parent do? Go up to the school. I want to see so-and-so teacher. Principal's like, what's going on? I just want to see so-and-so teacher. I understand that it was a fight. I want to hear, you know how we play politics just to get in front of the face of the individual that you really want to meet. May I speak to your manager, please? No, everything's okay. Manager, how dare you sit me back by the restroom when all of these tables are clear? You guys know I'm not over that. Nonetheless, the parent of the child that got into the fight is now faced with the teacher who pretty much was the referee or the proctor during the fight. The parent confronts the teacher and go, how dare you let my daughter get beat up? Excuse me, says the teacher. What do you mean, let your daughter get up? I didn't start the fight. I'm trying to control and conduct my class to teach. Let me just make this long story short. The parent got out of pocket and went at the teacher. Thank God security was nearby. Anytime you get red flags, right? And I'm speculating, but mainly in schools, if you get red flags, especially a parent who's coming up there hot, looking like they want the sauce, or they coming for the smoke, and they're trying to beeline towards a teacher, or they're coming ultra aggressive towards their child who got into a fight, more than likely the school is in defense mode. And they do have school officers on campus. Just wanted to add that, or at least most of them do. Budget cuts may have prevented some of that. But last time I checked, school officers are on site. The teacher was removed from the angry parent. But one thing I will say, making this story short, the parent went at the teacher just as their child did to the other child during school. What am I saying? The parent literally assaulted the teacher. That left this teacher no choice but to defend herself. Salute to all of the teachers out there and all of those in the education system who are faced with these small little trinkets of mental issues, anxiety, right? Misbehaving individuals, and also those that can't deal with pressure, who turn to anger as a form of release. I just got to salute you once again, teachers and those in the education system. I was talking to a good friend of mine that works with those with special needs. Mad props, mad shout out to the teachers of the world. We wouldn't be the society we are today without, I'll be specific, good and great teachers out there that care, and also those that are trying to provide an atmosphere and an environment for learning and education. It's almost like we need more activities in our public libraries or something to that fashion that introduces but also advocates learning outside of the classroom. Some libraries are being chopped down and nearly destroyed because the cities in some states don't have the budget. So what are they cutting? Not parks and recreation, libraries. You know, parks and recreation can go and grab teams that can get fundraisers to keep them alive. But your libraries are getting chopped near and far. Let's take it up to Brooklyn. when it comes to hip hop, you guys know I love to do the tyology thing with hip hop and us being derivatives, right? Well, when it comes to libraries and learning facilities outside of schools, I'm sure you guys know that Jay-Z now have an exhibit in the Brooklyn Public Library. It's called Jay-Z's Book of HOV, which is now on display at the Brooklyn Library. And they're saying there is a tremendous bump and increase in library cards, library accounts. How awesome is that? But not only that, to get a dark horse as Jay-Z, who's turned out to be the phenomenal man that he is today, to be able to display his uptick in a public library. And it made me think, right? It would be very nice if there was a museum dedicated to the universe of hip hop. All elements, all facets of what hip hop has to offer and bring and show. It would be nice to have that brick and mortar. Now, we've had virtual museums and exhibits, but something that we can look, see, and feel, and also say that I want to make it a point to go to the hip hop museum, right? Now, you know, we got the Trap Museum in the A. There's also the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville. You even got Stax Museum from Watt Stax in Memphis. And there's also memorial plaques on certain landmarks, such as the 1420 Cedric Avenue in the Boogie Down Bronx. But it would just be very nice. And if I'm wrong, I'll take a L on it, but comment down below if you know of there being a hip hop museum. Now, I know the mayor of New York got on the mic about a year ago, and it was actually a public announcement of the celebration of the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and that was in New York City. And I thought, this is my assumption, you guys keep me honest, I'm depending on you guys as my listeners, as my audience. First of all, let me just pause right here and just say, I need for you guys to like, comment, and subscribe, right? And also don't be a hater. But comment down below, if there is a hip hop museum, I want to know where it is. And is it an exhibit? Is it something permanent? Is it a landmark where we all can say, this is my contribution to hip hop. It's made a certain impact. Here it is for visible or visual display. I don't think we have that. I could be wrong. I've researched it. I just don't know where that landmark is. Now, there's virtual sites. There's virtual websites that's asking for donations, that's asking for you to make a pledge, that's asking for your input for such thing. But I don't think we have an actual physical brick and mortar that we all can go to. A place that could preserve the core artifacts of hip hop. A place where we can have live shows, kind of like the House of Blues or Carnegie Hall or something to that degree. You guys know me, I dream big. Don't die with dreams inside. I dream big, so that don't fault me at that. But I'm just talking something tangible where we can say, hey, every year or every time of the year, this is a place that we will possibly have blank. You know, look at it for what it is versus what I'm saying, right? A place where we can induct hip hop artists, something that we can call our own from the creation and birth of hip hop. Speaking of inductions and calling something our own, right? I'm so grateful for the shared space of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But that's what got me to wondering, this is a shared space, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, hip hop, right? I understand country and all of those musicians go there, but I'm most certain that there's a Country Music Hall of Fame. I'm most certain of it. As a matter of fact, I've been. Right? But do we have a place outside of landmarks that gives us something tangible to say that here you can take your grandkids, kids, or even some of the young children in your family to say that this is how it was, right? We always talk about our ability to knowledge transfer and download with our youth, but can we do that outside of lip service? Can we just take them somewhere tangible, almost like the Martin Luther King Museum here in Atlanta, where you can actually see some of the freedom riders, a display where they actually sat in protest, where we can actually see the dress, suit, and shoes that Dr. Martin Luther King marched in, and also the wagon that Dr. Martin Luther King was rolled out in before he was laid to rest, right? Is there something tangible that we can have for hip hop, right? Even the Trap Museum, as dope as an idea as that is, it has its flaws. But I'm talking about something that's funded, and we got a lot of coins in hip hop. We got a lot of coins where I'm sure if there was an initiative to gain the proper hands in an implementation to build a brick and mortar in a central location, and it's got to be New York, it's got to be the Bronx, right? You don't put it Midwest, right? You put that thing in a birthplace, so we can say not only is this the birthplace, look, see, feel, and listen to the inspiration of hip hop, or what it was to write this song that pertains to this, what it was when they said do it in the park, right? You guys get where I'm going, right? But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a shared space. And I'm talking about hip hop here just for a second. Let me just narrow down all genres and bring it in the form of hip hop. Yes, we've had a few hip hop artists to even be inducted in the Hall of Fame, rightfully so. I'm sure there could be a lot more, but think about if we had, and I don't mean to segregate us from music in general, because music is the universal language, but I'm talking about hip hop, something that people said was going to be a fad, something that was not supported because they considered it crap. But 50 years later, we're kicking, we're strong, we're in Fortune 500 companies. We're a part of the dialogue of what it is to do marketing, not in America, the world, right? Hip hop. Do we have something, or wouldn't it be nice if we had something? So we go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and these are just a few of those that are in the Hall of Fame today. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five was inducted in 2007. Run DMC, rest in peace, JMJ. They were in the class of 2009. The Beastie Boys were inducted in 2012. Public Enemy, Bass, How Low Can You Go? Death Row, What a Brother Know. Once again, back against the end. Rhyme Animal, The Intangible, the Public Enemy #1. 5-0 said freeze. I know I jacked up the lyrics, but you guys know Public Enemy will get you right and tight. But they were in the 2013 class. NWA was a part of the 2016 class. Tupac, the late great Tupac Shakur, was in the 2017 class, and the Notorious B.I.G. It Was All a Dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine, hanging pictures on my wall every Saturday. Rap Attack, Mr. Magic, Marley Marl. Notorious, the late great Notorious B.I.G. was inducted in the 2020 class. LL and Young Hov, Jay-Z, was inducted in the 2021 class. And then we had Eminem, who was inducted in the 2022 class. But guess what? This year wasn't only a milestone for hip hop. It was a milestone for someone who got inducted. Who am I talking about? First of all, she's her. You heard me. She's her. 4-time Grammy winner. Has her own record label. Sold over 40 million records worldwide. But in addition to that, she is now the first woman rapper to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Who am I talking about? Miss How. As a DJ, I used to just run that back and forth. And I heard her say that she caught that a DJ was running it back and forth. And she said, okay, that's dope. Right. But who we talking about, y'all? Missy, the misdemeanor, Elliott. And let me tell you what was so beautiful about, there's so much we can say about Missy, but let me tell you what was so beautiful about Missy getting inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was who introduced her. You want to talk about spread and love. Queen Latifah introduced her and pretty much brought her to the world in true La fashion when it came to introducing the first woman rapper to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. First of all, the entire night was very intimate, if you ask me, and emotional. I mean, this one got me. It don't take much, but this one got me. And I love the fact that Latifah stood up there like a champion with her chest out and said, this is who I'm presenting. I'm sure some of you may have said, why isn't Lala in there? And I'm talking about Latifah. But for her to do it with so much poise and decorum to introduce her sister in hip hop. And obviously these guys are tight. There was a point where Latifah went off the prompter and just talked about her girl. And Missy, you have kept it real when it comes to hip hop. You got to give props what props is due. The woman is phenomenal in the creative space. What her and Timberland did for boom bap and the continuation of boom bap in hip hop was phenomenal. You got that boom, da boom, da boom, boom, da boom, da boom, boom. They gave you that beat, but it was off beat. The sound that she created via Aaliyah, genuine, her and Timberland and Magoo. And before that, Missy was a behind the scenes producer, background vocalist, ghostwriter. Put me to the test. Go to the Jodeci album. Back in the day, they made interludes. And these were skits and sometimes a continuation of the album to make it an audible experience. I think it was Jodeci the Show in the After Party, right? I think it was that record. If I'm wrong, I'll take a L on that. But if you listen to the interludes of that record, you heard Missy all the way through it. What does that mean? Her and Devontae was in the studio getting busy. And I'm not talking about in the physical form. I'm talking about in the musical form. No, you want some more. No, you want some more. Listen to the skit before that song. Listen to the girls banging on the door to get in the room to go see Jodeci. You'll hear Missy's voice in there all throughout the records. You listen to some of Mary J records, you'll hear Missy doing ad-libs or in the background. The girl was incredible. She was phenomenal. And just to go a little bit further about philanthropy and give back, Missy recently gave a healthy bag to some families who was facing eviction. The woman has a heart of gold. I'm grateful that I had the pleasure and opportunity to meet Missy. We had connecting flights. We had a flight delay. We chopped it up. The woman, was down by law. As you see her with the natural smile, that's her persona. But keeping the night going, right? I'm giving props and I'm saluting hip hop, and also Missy being the first, right? Being the first woman rapper to be inducted. Chaka Khan was also inducted. And we all know Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan, Chaka Khan. We all know Chaka Khan. What you gonna do for me? What you gonna do for me? Hey, that's my jam right there. Let me tell you something. Chaka gave us Chaka. But we all know Chaka can be spicy sometimes. Chaka, don't be mad at me. I'm here for the smoke, but I don't want no sauce. Chaka can be spicy sometimes, and she can sometimes be a little faded. But so much that I have to say it. I gotta say it, and I know y'all saw it. Rock with me. I know y'all saw it. I know y'all saw it because y'all was looking. And if you haven't Googled it, Chaka Khan was fine. back in the day. Good Lord. Chaka was fine. And as she got older, we just went to appreciate Chaka for being Chaka. Always had that $1 million smile, cheeks, and whatnot. But when I was looking at her on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'm like, damn, Chaka fine again. Fine. And I was looking too hard. Let me tell you why. As Chaka was up there rambling, no disrespect. Y'all know what that means. I'm being disrespectful. But as she was up there rambling, I said she can be spicy, but as she was up there rambling, I didn't see Chaka Khan. I saw Nicki Minaj. All right, Pete. I'm going to put Chaka's picture here, and I'm going to put Nicki Minaj's picture here. They could pass for mother and freaking daughter. Lord have mercy. Nicki Minaj is at the top of my list when it comes to woman MCs, and she's even competitive in the MC genre altogether. Also, another part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that was near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure it was yours as well, was salute to the Godfather, or the father of hip hop, DJ Kool Herc. And I'll be honest, I got a little emotional when he went up there. And let me just say, LL, James Todd, thank you for keeping it funky for what it means to be a man about his business. You know how usually the presenter is asked to scoot out of the frame? LL made sure that man got up them steps. LL made sure that man was lifted at that podium to give his speech along with his sister. LL would not let him go. That touched my heart. LL, salute. Love you for that. Matter of fact, LL is in my top MCs. He's in my top 5. We'll talk about that another day. Why does rap have top 5? But do we often categorize top 5? Of course we do. Of course we do. There would be no barbershops if there wasn't top 5s. Some barbershops. Some people don't go for haircuts. They just go to talk top 5. What are we top 5? Everything. I'm being foolish right now, but let me just get back to DJ Kool Herc. It was emotional to see him up there going into a soliloquy of what I would like to say, giving thanks. This is according to Dante and Dante only. A lot of what he was saying was hard to cipher and decrypt. But for the most part, we gathered that our elder, now DJ Kool Herc, for whatever he was taking the time to say that we may, or some of you may or may not have understood, it made me emotional because here we are witnessing a living icon. And it was just a grateful and beautiful thing to see. And he looked amazing. So what would I say to DJ Kool Herc? 2 words. Thank you. Thank you. The night went on, and I have these out of order, but also the spinners were inducted. And for those that don't know, the spinners got multiple, several, a room full, a club full of slaps, if you really want to get the party started, right? The 70s OGs were, now listen, they were the original ensemble of what we call today the Motown Philly sound. Some say that it was Boys to Men. No, it was the Spinners, because they was first signed to Motown, then went to Philly. Some of you remember Rubber Band from the Guardians of the Galaxy. They had it a part of their soundtrack as they cruised the galaxy or across the universe, or should I say the Marvelverse. I'll keep working my way back to you, babe. Man, that's a bop. What? Whenever you need me, I'll be there. I'll be around. Boom, boom, boom. Come on, fam. The Spinners. Psh. And I have to say that the Spinners, for those that are still here, are in their elder state. And it was beautiful to witness them just say, thank you. It touched my heart. But let me tell you who else touched my heart. Them boys from Boston. New Edition. Salute. Let me tell you something. Y'all do the damn thing. Like y'all do the damn thing. Like I saw Bobby Brown the other day at the Falcons game. He was performing at halftime as if it was a halftime Super Bowl show. The guy was getting, I don't know what Bobby's been doing, but Bobby, we applaud you. Take it easy, Bobby. We don't want you to get hurt. But let me tell you something, my man. A couple of years ago, and maybe even during the pandemic, and maybe even earlier, we were kind of killing him about his condition and his ability to keep up with the band. But let me say this, Bobby, we know you've been through some things, my brother. We know you've been through some things. Get through them the best way you can. And Bobby, if you listen to this podcast, don't let nobody tell you how to feel. You're entitled to feel how you want to feel. You've been through a lot, my brother. And let me just say this, whether it was a performance track or not, you was hanging with them boys. And that was so good to see New Edition just be lockstep when it comes to delivering and the homage that they paid to the Spinners. So shout out to NE. Y'all did the damn thing. And then they broke into, and Ronnie kind of did the intro for it, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, whoever the choreos were for the transition from the Spinners to go into the homage and the tribute to Don Cornelius and Soul Train's induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was phenomenal. But it was the quintessential to black television back in the day. It was the thing you looked at when you wanted to learn new moves, or if you wanted to get the party going in the house without rocking the component set. Y'all don't know nothing about no component set. Watch out. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all streaming everything now. Some of us actually had that little wood box. And for those that was balling, y'all had that wood box with the TV in it, with the speaker on the side. And when you lift the wood top up, it had the turntable inside. And you could put multiple records in there and it would switch. And if you was balling, you had the wood set with the TV, with the speaker, with the turntable, and the 8-track in it. Component set. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But without that, Soul Train gave us a visual of what it looked like when folks was getting down. This was the place, right? So that was a beautiful thing to see. And when I tell you this is what excellence looked like, that's what it looked like. BET, take notes. VH1, take notes. MTV, take notes. I'm not saying you don't do it. But sometimes they're all over the place rather than getting to the scope of the purpose and the intent of what it means to bring people together. I said it before and I'll say it again. Music is the universal language. I remember being in Dublin, Ireland, right? Me being a black man over there, which was not typical. So some were equating me to being a rapper. Okay. I'm not going to tell you what I did with some of the questions that I was being asked, but let me just say I was young and I was in my truest fashion of what it was to be Dante, a la Mecca Don to Don Mecca, a la Rick James. I've always been Himothy. You guys know that. Himothy, you heard me. But all of this is in the form of beauty. But you guys know what it is. Had it been something saucy, or had it been something to the left outside of the excellence that we saw, it would have been in the hands of the court of public opinion. And you know what else would have happened? Cancel culture. You know what else? We're in the age of cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion. And even in this pod, I tried to be careful, and I think I kept it cute for the most part. But just in case I said a noun, an expletive, a pronoun, or even something that was a little bit out of the pocket, I'm here to serve, and you guys know what it is. I'm just here to pod. And in the words of the late, great Don Cornelius, we leave you with love, we leave you with peace, and we leave you with soul. Until we meet again, guys, peace.